What's up, everybody? It's Draymond Green. Make sure you subscribe to the Volumes YouTube channel below so you don't miss any more of this great content going forward. And speaking of Luka Doncic and LeBron James and the comparisons that are being made to those two guys, here's where I see similarities, and then I'll give you a couple differences. One of the main glaring similarities that stick out at you is how those two guys can manipulate a defense, how those two guys can control the pace of a game. At their size, with their passing ability and the way they can put pressure on the rim and pressure on the defense, and with the vision that they have, they're a lot alike. They both understand what they're trying to get to on the court, and they will be very methodical in getting to whatever it is that they know that they want to get to. There's not many people in this league that can control a game or control the tempo and the pace of a game like that. I think one of the things that it requires is an uncanny ability for thinking the game of basketball. But this may sound a little cliche, but it also requires size. And the reason it requires size because if you can be sped up, you can't control a game. You can't control the pace of a game if you can be sped up. You can't speed Luka up. Luka's going to get to what he wants to get to. You can't speed LeBron James up. LeBron James is going to get to exactly what he wants to get to. Luka's 23. Obviously, he can't do it at the level that LeBron does it at yet, as consistent as LeBron, because LeBron has done it for so long. He's seen every defense possible. He's like the experience. You just can't teach experience. But Luka has that thing. He 100% has that thing. And he does it often. And so I definitely see the similarities there. Where I think they differ is Bron will take more transition opportunities where Luka kind of doesn't unless it's just a complete run out. And I think that's where they differ a little bit. It's like some games LeBron is totally looking to play in transition. Luka isn't quite looking to play in transition as much over the course of his career. Now, I've seen it at times where, he see a team that he can take advantage of in transition and he gets going in transition. But that's not his game because it doesn't allow him to play at the speed that he plays at. And he's better at that speed than any other speed. He's mastered playing at the pace that he wants to play at and not being sped up. And so I think that's where it differs for me in just the pace of play. Like LeBron's pace is still much faster than Luka's. I also think Luka, as great of a passer as he is, and he loves to pass the basketball, I think Luka looks for his shot a little bit more than LeBron. Now, LeBron is uber aggressive at times, but he's more often than not pass first. Luka is pass first at times too, but he's looking to score more than LeBron in those, like from a possession to possession situation. LeBron has times where I'm about to score 15 points in 2 minutes, and good luck, nobody's stopping it. But from just over a course of 48 minutes, from a possession to possession basis, I think Luka looks to score a little bit more than LeBron has. Now, in saying that, it just shows you also how great LeBron is, because here I am saying Luka looks to score a little bit more than LeBron, and LeBron's 1,300-some odd points away from passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the all-time scoring leader. And there's this notion of LeBron James is not a scorer. Let me clear this up right now. I am not saying LeBron James is not a scorer at all, because the fact that people are even willing to say that LeBron James is not a scorer baffles me. It really baffles me. I mean, you even get idiots that play the game of basketball that's supposed to understand basketball that'll say LeBron James isn't a scorer. No, he just does everything and he scores. But to say he's not a scorer, that's just stupid and ridiculous. So I want to make it very clear that with that statement, I am not saying LeBron James is not a scorer. He's absolutely a scorer. He just passed the ball so well and see the floor so well and manipulate the game so well that you're like, oh, he's doing this and he's doing that. And then you look up and like, oh, and he had 30 points. Yeah, because he can score the basketball, fool. But, you know, people have their own assumptions of what's going on the court, and I can't, what you see is what you see. But stop confusing the fact that LeBron James is a scorer. He's 100% a scorer. And those that don't think so, you gotta question your basketball IQ. What game are you watching if you think LeBron James is not a scorer? So that's my comparison between Luka and LeBron. There's definitely some there. They definitely have similarities. And then you look up and it all makes sense. Luka has said over and over again, LeBron's his favorite player growing up. And then you're actually blessed with that size that Luka has. It all makes sense of why there are similarities there, because they're definitely there, and it feels a lot like playing against LeBron, playing against Luka every possession. And now we have some mailbag questions for you before I get out of here and go get my prep ready for game 2.
All right. From Brody Gray at Brody Gray _22. What did you think of Pat Bev's recent comments on ESPN?
Well, what did I think of Patrick Beverley's recent comments on ESPN? I think, number one, if you sit back and look at some of the things Patrick Beverley said, I think he's making some very legit points of someone that really understands the game of basketball. If you've watched Patrick Beverley and the things that he said consistently. Now, I think that's marred a bit by his comments on Chris Paul, because once he made the comments on Chris Paul, that became the headline, that became the news. And at that point, everyone just kind of just start discrediting everything that he said from that point on. I've seen more than just the Chris Paul stuff, and I actually think he said some good things. I think he's been very there's been times on there where he was very particular and breaking things down. He went in depth on things. So I think people can really learn some things from listening to Patrick Beverley. However, I think his comments made on Chris Paul took some of the attention away from some great points that he was making, and rightfully so. I saw that when you go at a guy like Chris Paul, who's a legend in our game, that's going to take the cake. That's not something you say for a day and it goes away. Like, that's going to take the cake, and people going to remember that. And then he doubled down on it, and then he tripled down on it. I respect a guy for standing on what they stand on. Like, as you know, I stand on what I say. We don't post and delete. We stand on our word. If you post something, that's how you was feeling in that moment. You stand on that. At the end of the day, Instagram is a moment in time, and you post things that you feel when at that moment that you post them. We don't delete. And so I respect him standing on what he said. I just think it did him a huge disservice in showing what he's capable of from the TV side, because that immediately became what it was about. It became more about Patrick Beverley talking about Chris Paul than about, man, Patrick Beverley is actually breaking the game down and telling us things that most people can't just see and make out. Like, and so as someone who's on the TV side of things, I think that should be a huge learning experience for him. I'm not saying go apologize for the Chris Paul stuff and what you said. I don't apologize. You stand on what you said. But I think that can be a learning thing for him to understand that I can be good in this. I can be good in this business, and I can break the game down different than most people can break the game down. And I don't have to be like these clowns that gets a microphone and go on TV. I don't have to be these clowns. I can go on here and really talk basketball and be good at this. I don't have to be like these clowns. And I think if he do that and he learned from that, I thought he was saying some good stuff on TV and breaking the games down the way he was breaking the game down. And I think people can learn from that. But I think he also needs to learn from his mistake and what he did. And maybe he doesn't think it was a mistake. And if he doesn't, by all means, hey, man, you your own man, more power to you. But just from my experience in TV, I think there was a different way he could have went about it. I think he should learn from it because I think in watching him, he could be pretty good at it. He could be good at it.
Next one from Alexis at Alexis Goldfish. What's one piece of advice you've stuck by throughout your entire career?
One piece of advice I've stuck by throughout my entire career is a couple things. Nobody's going to outwork me. You're not going to outwork me on a basketball floor. That's essentially like you coming in my house and taking food off my kid's plate. And I'm just not willing for you to let anybody come into my house and take food off my kid's plate. So that I live by that. And then I am a firm believer in whatever you come into the NBA doing, you can never stop doing that. So how did I get on the floor? I got on the floor defending. I can never stop playing defense because you will never be good enough at any other thing than what got you on the floor. So you can become a better shooter. Like Steph Curry can never stop shooting the basketball. That's what he came in doing. That's who he made himself. He can never just stop shooting. So say Steph Curry became Kawhi Leonard on the defensive end as like a perimeter defender. He can't just stop shooting and be that because you'll never be good enough at that to cover for what you were and what you did do. And I think so many times, especially younger guys, get lost in like, oh, I can shoot it now or I can dribble better. I'm going to do that and not do what you on your way out the league. If you stop doing what got you to where you are. So for me, I got on the court with Mark Jackson by playing defense. I can never stop being relentless on the defensive end, and I live by that.
Last one, and remember to submit your questions on Twitter at hashtag the Draymond Green Show, or maybe we'll do some calls for questions on the brand new Instagram account.
Hey, now, maybe live.
Maybe live. But from Raleigh Firebirds at Raleigh Firebirds 1, what was the toughest moment you've had on a basketball court before you made it to the NBA, and how did you respond? What were the lessons / takeaways from that?
The toughest lessons that I had on a basketball court prior to the NBA was, I think, my sophomore year.
At Michigan State?
When I got fouled by my sophomore year at Michigan State, when I got fouled in the Final Four versus Butler. And we lost that game. I think that was the toughest moment for me, or right off the top of the head. That was a very tough moment for me. What it taught me was do what you have to do to never leave the games in the hands of the referees. Because they are human and they miss calls. And what was an evident, like clearly a foul, they missed. Was there something else that I could have done along the way, like make my free throws? I struggled from the free throw line that game. Was there something else I could have done along the way to where that call wasn't left in the referee hand to decide what my fate would be and moving forward and trying to win the NCAA championship? That was one of my takeaways from it, and that was a very tough moment for me. I never went back to the Final Four. That was my last time ever playing in the college Final Four. And so that was a big moment in my career. And to not move forward on what would have been a foul. Now, again, I struggled from the free throw line. I still would have had to go make the free throws. But I just learned when you have an opportunity to put a team away, when you have an opportunity to extend the lead, you have to do what it is that you need to do in those moments because you just never want to leave the game in the hands of the officials because they are human beings. It's very hard keeping up with the top athletes in the world and seeing things real time. Like, I mean, I think if you think of things that you need to see in real time in life, you miss a ton of things. So, like, you imagine they're going to miss things. That's just the way it's going to be. It's human error. Like, as humans, we're going to make errors. That's just what it is. And so whatever it is that you can do to not be put in that position, that's what I've learned, to just capitalize and be methodical in the things that I need to do so I'm not in that position.